Hey everybody, it's me, it's Undead Viking. I'm here with another video review. The game I am going to show you today is a game called Chaosmos. Chaosmos is a game that is, well, it's hard to describe really. Well, the theme of the game is space, and each person is representative of their race, and they are, the end of all reality is coming. Literally, chaos is going to destroy everything. And this isn't a cooperative game, though, because there is an artifact that you need to locate. And if you can locate that artifact, you're able to save you and your civilization. So you and the other people are racing against each other and trying to find it out in the cosmos. And the game's got a lot of little interesting things going on, not least of which is the fact that it's kind of like all the information in the game is present right away. And I'll explain that in a little bit more, but it's a card-driven game. And you'll be handling a hand of cards constantly. And that hand of cards will be constantly changing and constantly shifting, because the artifact is actually represented by a card. And as you search for that card, you'll have to hold it in your hand, or you'll have to find a clever way to hide it on the board to prevent other people from claiming it. And all the while, this doomsday clock basically ticks on and on and on, once that reaches 0, and that isn't like an actual clock, it isn't like a stopwatch. It's like each turn, every time somebody takes a turn, you click it one spot. And so when that doomsday clock, or chaos clock as it's called in the game, I like doomsday clock better, hits 0, whoever's holding the card wins. And so it's one of those things where it's like, is it good to have the card right away so you know where it is? Or then it gets taken away from you, then where is it? You know, is it better to like kind of bide your time, build your forces, build up a strategy, and then do a quick smash grab at the very end of the game to you know, attempt to grab the card right before the game ends, and things like that. So it's got a fairly simple rule set, but there's a lot going on in the game, so I'm going to show you that when I show you the rules here in just a few moments. And then after that, as always, I'll show you you know, what I think of the game. And then, since this game is in Kickstarter, or will very soon be in Kickstarter, then you know, then maybe somewhere along the way you'll figure out whether or not it's a game you want on your shelf, and then you can go from there. So, all right. So, how to play Chaosmos. This is Chaosmos. You can see that there are several planets that you will be visiting during the game. In the middle, this is like the Chaos Clock, or I call it the Doomsday Clock. Each time anybody takes a turn, and it's probably too small for you to see, and I do apologize, but up here is a 60, and then it goes 59, 58. And each time somebody takes a turn, you just slowly but surely move down all the way around. And then once it reaches all the way around, then the game is over, and you determine who wins. As I said, the person who wins is the person that managed to have the artifact, the ovoid, in their control when the game is over. Now, to begin the game, each person has to pick a race. Now, you can do this any sort of ways. You get a lot of these different cards that have all the different aliens on them. There are lots of different ways. You can pick randomly, you can draft them, what have you. You get several of them. You get, as you can see, there are 10. You can see there's the 10 figures over there that represent them. And these are awesome figures, mind you. This happens to be my favorite, probably because he reminds me of the Roper monster from D&D. But anyway, and so, like, you pick the alien that you want to play, and this isn't like a giant race. This is one dude. This is your, like, the envoy of your alien race, and you alone hold the fate of your civilization in your hands. So don't take it too seriously, though. But anyway, so you'll pick one, and as you can see, each one of these cards, if you can see this, has the name, says what they are. It gives them their unique abilities that they have. And then it says what they have immunities to. And then each each alien has a planet that they can't land on because there's something on the planet that they're like is toxic to them. And it can be very tough to see, but the planets you'll see will have a different ring of color around them. It's like here's this purple planet, or I guess kind of pink planet, and it has a blue ring around it. And that's just kind of a helpful reminder that the blue alien can't land there because it would kill him. Now, you can get equipment by getting cards that will basically the spacesuits or whatever, what have you, that'll allow you to land in those locations. But until then, that is the case. But anyway, that's also, as I pointed out, it's also listed here. You can see that there will be these 3 spots for tokens, hyper tokens. Hyper tokens have a very specific use, and sometimes they can be used for other things, depending on the alien and cards and what have you. But the specific use is that it allows you to instantly teleport to anywhere, any of the planets. So you could be on one planet, and if you got something you need to bring back to your home planet, you can teleport back to that location. And then you see it lists the home planet of the person, and and so they have all the little information you need, and plus there's a little flavor text in the bottom here, which is of course helpful as well. So so each person will pick a alien. So we're gonna take Varun, the adventurer. So we'll take this green dude here, and this game is for 2 to 4 people. I've only played it with 4, just because the game has been really popular with my game group, and every time we played it, there was always enough people that were interested in playing. But we'll go ahead and put him on Gurwan, and then Vlaklos the Destructor. Here, that's this guy. And Vlaklos, home planet of, I love these names, Melfiori Gorshi, and then Hamflagen, the kind of a Swedish name, Hamflagen, the collector. I'm probably pronouncing it right, or incorrect, I should say. And he's on Ulu, and finally Klokned, the automaton, and he's on over here on Silobik. So that's just how the game would begin. You'd have your people on their opening spots, and then with the rest of the aliens, you just won't use them for this game, and you'll set them aside. Now, this is a very interesting game in which you'll notice that there's some cards up here, and this is the Cosmic Pool, and I'll talk about the Cosmic Pool in just a few moments. But there's a very interesting thing about this game is that then there's these cards that are left. And I already took the liberty of actually placing cards in each one of these envelopes over here. And each one of these envelopes has a planet name on it. And those are the items and the things that you can get on that particular planet. So that would be Sipov, which would be down here. And then these remaining cards, there's 24 of them left. You deal 6 of them each in this case because of the fact that there's 4 players. If there were 3 players, you deal out 8 each, and if there were only 2 players, you deal out 12 each. Now, the astute ones of you will realize each of those is a multiple of 24, meaning that you are actually dealing out every single card for the game. There is nothing secret out there except, well, obviously these are secret because they're inside the planet, but nothing is in like a draw pile or anything like that. The cards are either in people's hands, they're up here in the Cosmic Pool, or they're here waiting to be taken. And one of the first things you do is after you deal out the cards is that each player will get, like here's Gurawan. Gurawan will get the envelope, and he opens it up, and then he can see the cards that are inside and what the different cards are and what they have. And he can take any of those cards that he wishes and puts them into his hand. But you have a hand limit of 7. And so you can exchange them with the cards that you've got. And so you can make a hand that you think will be useful. Cards have lots of different things. And I've kind of just shown, like as I said, this is the ovoid. But lots of different things are within the card. I mean, they can have little single-use powers, like a hyper tube here. They can have what's called a vault, which I'll explain in a little bit, but vaults lock down a planet, which prevents people from taking cards from that planet. They can have weapons, like this, which will just a weapon that gives you +2 in combat. And, and other things are like cool things like these spores that you can use in combat. you notice that the more spores you have, the more powerful they are. But you create a hand of cards that you keep in your hand. And it should be noted that a lot of the cards, like most cards, are cards that you will keep in your hand, even if you show them, which allows other people to see what you've played, and then they can react to that, and then they can plan accordingly, recognizing what you have. Cards that are yellow, however, like this, go into what's called the void over here. They're one-shot items, and sometimes other cards will end up over here as well. But when you place a card in the void, they're placed face up, and anybody can look and see how many what's in there, what is, because there's a lot of times that people will be able to take items back from the void, and sometimes, like, this is a game where you know there's a certain number of those cards available. Like, you can even see on the card itself, and you probably can't see, actually you probably can't see, but it says up here 1 of 2, meaning that there's 2 of those cards. So you can kind of get an idea using deduction and whatever to determine what maybe the other people have, as far as the possibility, at least, of having those other cards. But so let's just say all these have been dealt out. Somebody, because I kind of took it out just to show it to you, somebody got dealt the ovoid, and so the game is beginning, and now they have to determine what they're going to do. The whole goal of the game is to keep that ovoid in your possession, and so you have it at the very end of the game. On your turn, you get 3 actions. Sometimes you can get other items that'll give you more actions, but on your turn you take 3 actions, and it's pretty simple. If you want to move, like every move is an action. So if you get 3 actions, and I wanted to go to Jugladoc, 1, 2, 3, that's my turn. I would then move this clock ahead 1, and then the next person would go. If you want to activate the envelope or take control of the envelope of the planet that you're on, you can go ahead and, like, that's an action. So if I'm on Jogladak, this character will say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and activate that envelope. They get this envelope. You can open it up. You can see what's in there, see what cards are in there, and then you can then take the cards you want, replace them with hands in your card, or just do whatever. Obviously, you're doing all this in secret, so nobody knows exactly what you're doing. And then as soon as you leave, so on the next turn, if I decide I'm going to go over here, I have to take this envelope and I have to return it back into the box. And so when somebody else approaches that, they can go ahead and look, and they can see if I left something in there or if what I didn't take. But now it's up to me to remember what I left in there, and so maybe that'll help me out if I can figure out if somebody's going to take it. Now, if you are still in control of your home planet's envelope, meaning that basically nobody else has moved into your home planet and taken over your envelope, you're allowed to trade a card from your hand with any one card from the cosmic pool, and then you just swap spaces with those. When you do that, obviously people are going to see what you're taking and you're giving something up. Very rarely, when you deal these out, if you manage to get the ovoid up there, you don't leave it up there. It can't start up there at the beginning of the game. But you can definitely put it up there. And I've had people that have placed it, especially at the very beginning of the game when they want to keep a good hand of cards. And, because the ovoid doesn't really have any abilities. It just, wins the game for you, which admittedly is a good ability. But, it's something to keep in mind. So, when there's, that's the 3 different actions you can take. Oh, I'm sorry, the last action is attacking somebody. If you end up in the same location as somebody, that's when you can say, I'm attacking you. Attacking you is pretty simple. Each person will take these dice and they'll roll them. And that determines their opening combat. So that would be 6, and this would be 7. And then each person then will reveal cards from their hand that will be combat cards. So the person that's down by 1 could reveal like this, and they can say, it's a +2, and I'm going to reveal that. And they place that in front of them. And then the other person then can say, well, I'm down by 2, eh? And then they can say, well, I'm going to play both my flash rifle and my Voltaic trident, like so. And that'll give me back up to +1 over you. And then the other person then can play cards and back and forth. And after all is said and done, you determine whoever is higher, and you can have a draw, which means nothing happens. And so if one person wins, the other person is obviously the loser. The winner has two choices. They can either look at that other person's hand, and then you say, okay, let me see your cards, and you hand them their cards, and they go through them all, and it's like, okay, well, I'll take this one. And then they'll take that card and they'll put it in their hand. If that card would put them over their 7-card maximum, they have to give a card back to the other player. The other option you have is you can just banish them back to their home planet. So if these two were fighting here on Ulan, and then he would say, well, I don't want to look at your cards, I just want you out of here. And he could send him straight back to Silobic, and that's one of the things that you can do, the other option you have when combat occurs. You can't ever kill anybody. The combat is not, I shouldn't say bloodless, because you actually are fighting, to determine whose civilization lives. But there's no player elimination. On these dice, there are this egg result that's right here. The egg result, if you roll that, let me find it again here. The egg result and whatever else you roll in the other die, it matches it. So if you roll that and a 3 or a 5, it would be 2 5s. If you luckily roll 2 eggs, you automatically win the combat. You win the whole thing, and it's like these are considered to be like infinity symbols, and no matter what, if you were had no combat power whatsoever, and the other guy had 17 weapons, which wouldn't happen because you only have 7 cards, but you'd automatically win the combat. If somehow, as luck would have it, this hasn't happened with us playing, both people roll double infinity like that, the power of the combat actually blasts you both back to your home planet. If the attacker on their turn attacks and loses, that's the end of their turn. So you can't just say, if that person was on that spot and it's their turn, I'm attacking you, oh, I failed. I'm attacking you, oh, I failed. I'm attacking you, I failed. The moment you lose an attack, your turn is done, and you're unable to take another action. Now, those are the really basic actions. You're playing cards, you're fighting people, you're digging through these places and trying to find out where the ovoid is. And once you do find it, you're trying to hide it, you're trying to protect it, you're trying to keep it from other people. Now there's other things that you can do. One of the cards that you can have out there is this. You can have a planetary base. And so if, say, Ulu was over here in Ob, and well, I shouldn't say Ulu, I'm sorry, the gatherer here, he managed to find the ovoid. He could take a turn and use one of his hyperspace tokens, return to Ulu, and then, say, go into his deck, like so, and he could place a planetary base in there. And so now there's a planetary base, present on his planet, and he also will go ahead and he'll take this and he'll place it right there. So everybody knows there's a base on his. And then any weapons that he puts into this envelope will defend the base, and he can leave. Somebody else can come over there and attack it and try to destroy his base and take over his envelope. But he doesn't have to be there to protect it anymore. And plus, you can double bluff there. You can place it there and say, and everybody thinks you got something really awesome there, but turns out no, you just left a bunch of weapons, but the ovoid isn't there. You've gone ahead and you've taken 7 more turns already, and you've placed it somewhere else where nobody has any idea. Another thing that you can do to mess with other people, and this is just to throw people off again, is these vaults. And you need a key to open a vault. If Silobic was over here in Pendra, and he just wanted to make people, maybe he put some really good weapons there, or some cards that he might want later. And he'll go ahead and put the vault in there, like so. And if anybody goes there, they'll open this up and they'll say, well, there's a vault there. I can't take anything. They can look through it, they can see what's on the planet, but they can't get it unless they can manage to get a key to unlock it. And so you can do that with the locations as well. Finally, and probably one of the coolest things you can do, in my opinion, is, and this is just because you can mess with people pretty well, is you can lay traps like this one right here, the telethwarter trap. And so if our buddy here was over here in Skylocus, let me just go ahead. I love the names. I love the world these people. But you can go ahead and you can put a trap on there. And so, and this is a booby trap that when it's face up and once it goes off, this basically teleports the person home. So they go to that location thinking they're going to find some cool stuff. They'll get here, they'll go, and I find a trap, and then I just get blasted back home. And then you notice it's yellow, so then it would go to the void after it's been let off. But you can put things like that out, and you can mess with people, and you can get people to think things are places where, and then maybe he has to go home, so he goes back here and he's like, well, obviously he trapped something good, and now everybody else saw the trap, so everybody might race over there to see what's there and try to determine whether or not it's maybe there's some good equipment or perhaps even the ovoid in that location. But that's pretty much how the game is played. You have all these different actions, all these different cards, all these different things that you can do that will allow you to both investigate the different planets, allows you to mess with the other player's plans, allows you to mess with their minds as far as what you might have placed this place and that place and what have you. But ultimately what it comes down to is every time somebody takes a turn, this clock slowly ticks down. And once it finally reaches all the way around, that's when, and as it gets closer, trust me, that's when it gets pretty, if you don't know where the ovoid is, or if you don't have control over it, that's when things start getting difficult. And that's when things start getting, for lack of a better term, tense and scary, if you will. Because if you don't have control of it, you're scrambling at that point to get control of the ovoid. And it can actually happen where nobody might have it. Maybe the person that hit it knows where it is, but they just aren't able to get there because they're getting beaten down by other people, or what have you. And if nobody actually has it, everybody loses at the end of the game. I mean, the game has a lot of different aspects to it as well, because there's the human element involved. You can make verbal agreements with other people. You can say you can say anything. It's like, well, if you go there, I'll go here, and we'll track that guy down. Or you can try to work with other people to trading cards and what have you. This is one of those negotiation games, but nothing is binding. Remember, just because you say, okay, well, if you go there and you find that weapon, I'll give you this that'll let you get there, but you got to give me that weapon when you get there. Okay, fine. Then you can get there, and yeah, I'm not going to give you that. So nothing is, you can't mandate somebody to follow through on what their word says. But it's a game where the actions themselves and the game itself is mechanically quite simple and quite easy to teach. But the game itself has a lot more depth and a lot more going on behind the scenes, if you will. But let me tell you exactly what I think of Chaosmos. I haven't done a box flip in a long time. Okay, there you go. That's how you play. That's how you play Chaosmos. Or at least, it's not like a turn-by-turn thing, but you should have a really good idea of how the game is played. I really like this game. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Cosmic Encounter, and I think a lot of you are probably going to feel the same way about that. I mean, just due to the fact that it's card-driven. You're hiding your cards, you're kind of trying to build the perfect set of cards to do what you want to do, but it has a wonderful deduction, lying, deception process, and bluffing, counter-bluffing, things like that, that I really like in games. I am a very avid poker player, and I love the... Poker by itself is a very simple game. It's got really simple rules. You can learn them very quickly. But there is so much more to it than the rules, because it's the mind game. It's the human element. And that's what Chaosmos has going for it in spades. It has the wonderful mind games that you get to play with your best friends. There's something so wonderfully beautiful about being able to look at your friends straight in the face and lie to them, blatantly, and lie to them about the location of the card. Obviously, I'm not going to lie to them about something real, but I mean, it's so wonderful to be able to just, put the poker face on and just dupe somebody into going and doing something that they don't want to do, like running into a trap or making somebody search high and low for a key to open up a vault that goes to, that doesn't help them in any way. It's because there's all kinds of things you can do. Like one of the games I played recently, I had a vault and I didn't put the ovoid there, and but I had it in my hand still. And then somebody went there and went to the spot and looked at the vault and they said, well, it's not in there, and so then they wandered off to go and do whatever. Then I went back there and I put the ovoid in there. And then I left. And so now all the players are like, well, do I waste turns going back there and looking again? Or should I waste some turns to look for a key and then go back? Or should I, it's stuff like that. And then all the while I can sit there and just smile and giggle to myself and be all sneaky and clever. And then I think that's the part of the game that I like the most, is that I get to feel clever. I get to I get to feel like I've put together a masterful strategy, if you will. And this is one of those games that it's even fun when you don't win, because by and large, since there's no like score track, there's no like, you're never really out of the game, because you can always put something together in the last few turns and come up with a way to at least have a shot at winning the game. If you think the game is being guarded by a base, you can go and attack the base, and if you can get 2 eggs on the roll, then you win, and then you might be able to take it. If you think that if you had it and you hit it in another planet and you wander off and you go hide somewhere else, and you might think that you have the perfect plan, but just out of dumb luck, somebody go, fine, I'm just going to go there and I'm going to look for it. And you're like, oh, why would you think that? And they're like, well, I just figured, what the heck, I might as well try. So it's a game that has those wonderful moments that you remember and then you tell the stories about later. You talk about, it's like, oh, remember that game when we played and you had the artifact and it was hidden over there and everybody else didn't believe it, but I did, and I went over there, stuff like that. And it tells a story. It's gripping. It's like I said, it's something that you talk about long after you've played it. And I've always loved games that force interaction at the table. I know a lot of people out there don't like that. They just want to have the game in front of them, and they want to just, okay, I put this there, and I'll do this, and I'll play this card, and I'll put that there, and then I get 17 points. And don't get me wrong, I can enjoy those games a great deal. But I really like games where the human dynamic is kind of forced, and you're forced to, like, deal with the other people at the table instead of just tending your own little garden and seeing how well you do. So there you go. So I really dug it. If you like games with, like I said, bluffing and negotiation and cursing and talking, and you don't mind a little dice and you don't mind a little card, like the cards or whatever. If you like Cosmic Encounter, I think you'll really like the game. It has a lot going on. If you put a gun to my head and you said, what is it like? I said, take like elements of Battlestar Galactica and take Cosmic Encounter and kind of shove them together. And that isn't perfect, but that's like the best one I can come up with as far as if I had to tell you. I kind of wish that the game you could play with more players. I do wish, and maybe there's an expansion in the works or something. That you'll be able to go up to more players. I think then the game would get even more chaotic and Chaosmos, and it would get even more fun at that point. So, well, there you go. So, if you have any questions or concerns or ideas, by all means, post those. I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. As for you, thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video. I appreciate that very much. And yeah, until the next time, this was Undead Viking saying hello and goodbye. And in the meantime, you have yourself an awesome day. All right, bye-bye now.